Normally found racing in the bush, forest or rugged farmland, today the cars and drivers are showing their skills at the Atatu off-road circuit on the shores of the Waitemata Harbour. Now, cars race in 5 divisions or classes. These are determined by size and engine power. The smallest are Class 7 cars, restricted to 1200cc unmodified motors, right through to these Class 1 monsters with unlimited engine power and modifications. Points are scored in class racing, which are carried through to the feature race at the end of the day. So all the teams, irrespective of their size and power, have a chance in the series. With points accumulated over 3 previous rounds, 4 drivers are in with a chance for the 1991 championship. Stephen Dobbs, Ian Foster, Lindsay Poynton and Richard Crabb. Leading the charge with 119 points is the CRC team, a Class 3 two-seater driven by Stephen Dobbs, a driver well aware of his car's limitations.
The heat racing will be the most important for us because we have trouble keeping up in the qualifiers.
Speed's no problem for Ian Foster. The defending champ's 2180cc Tamiya car is always the one to beat. But in 1991, he's not had everything his own way.
Had a DNF. We didn't finish a race. And we came down to 13th on the overall point standing. And we've had to claw our way back from there. So presently, we're second equal with Lindsay.
Lindsay is Lindsay Poynton driving the Tisco car. The surprise packet of the series, and Poynton, with recent racing experience in the States, is confident and ready for the challenge.
We start in front of him, we're going to stay in front. And coming from behind, he's going to have to worry, not us.
A little more worry for Richard Crabb driving Top Hat, the least powered of the leading bunch. Richard Crabb well aware of the challenge ahead of him.
Drive your own lines, and if they want to go around you, they've got to find a way around you. So if you make it harder for them, then hopefully they'll go the wrong way.
Well, the wrong way wasn't the right way for car 595. After a win in the first heat, Crabb was the first of the contenders to fall by the wayside. An unscheduled excursion into the pits, and it was all over for the Top Hat team.
Like, it's competitive enough without making mistakes, and the guys went through. Can't do much about it, it's the way it goes.
Meanwhile, Dobbs in Class 3 was applying the pressure on his rivals. Steady driving in Heat 1, and a lot of help from his friends gave him a clear run right through to the checkered flag. Heat 2, and the same tactics applied. Starting at the back of the grid, Dobbs, with wife Mana alongside, avoided big trouble at the top end. Two heats, 2 wins for the pace-setting CRC team.
Just had to keep up with the front runners and hopefully they make a mistake, and they did, so we're through.
The real challenge to Dobbs lay with the big grunters of Ian Foster, car number 1, and Lindsay Poynton, car number 194. Tony McCall in the Manukau Nissan car was out of contention for overall honours. A blistering Heat 1 turned to disaster in Heat 2 for the flying McCall. Foster and Poynton were left to a private duel as they fought to stay in touch with Stephen Dobbs. Foster made the vital break, but he still had a mind's eye to the challenge from the other classes.
That's a bit of a bonus, but it still puts us just behind, and there's a whole lot of guys coming up, so it's still anybody's.
Heat 3, and the battle's on for keeps. Tony McCall is back on four wheels and he's driving fast. For Poynton in the Tisco car, it's crunch time. He has to keep Foster behind him and, if possible, win the heat. Foster won't lay down, and Poynton refuses to concede second place and pressures Foster into a rare mistake.
So we knew we had to get in front to be in the running for the feature. Once we got there, we weren't going to let him have it.
For Dobbs, a chance to extend his lead over Foster is lost. The CRC car can only manage a third in the final heat, a mere 6-point lead going into the final race. So the 1991 Off-Road Championship will go right down to the wire for Stephen Dobbs.
Got to stay out of trouble, and we've got to try and, once the class one passes, try and keep within sight of them.
Coming onto the track now is the points leader.
Lining up for the 15-lap feature, Ian Foster has Stephen Dobbs well and truly in his sights.
One thing I notice about his car right now, and that's Steve Dobbs, 6 points in front of us at this stage. His shocks are fading bad, so that's a good indication that we can run him down in the feature.
For Foster, Dobbs is not his only concern, as Poynton clearly has plans of his own.
We've got to get in front of Ian again and stay in front of him and get past Steve Dobbs halfway through the race to finish up in the front three.
She's in your hands, Mr. Sala, for the 1990-91 Grand Finale.
The cars start on handicap, with the Class 7s having almost a lap advantage over the back markers of Foster, Poynton and McCall. For Dobbs, the early laps are crucial. He must put as many slower cars as possible between himself and the chasing cars of Foster and Poynton. By lap 4, early signs of problems for Stephen Dobbs in car 324, as the charging McCall in car 157 reaches and challenges him. Not far behind are Poynton and Foster, ready to pounce. The big three of McCall, Poynton and Foster jockey for position as they rapidly weave through the field. By lap 9, all had passed Dobbs, who now had to hang on to their tails for another 6 laps. But on lap 10, the predicted mechanical failure and Dobbs' race for the championship was over. McCall had his eyes set on the feature race. But for Foster and Poynton, the stakes were much higher, as it was now down to a 2-car race for the Grand Prix. And both were on McCall's tail, but still eating his dust. For McCall, the pressure was too much, and once again he misjudged his line into the top corner. Poynton passes the stranded McCall, but his chances of catching the flying Foster were gone. Foster and his Tamiya team had completed a remarkable recovery. After the second meeting, they'd come through to take back-to-back titles by winning the 1991 Tisco Off-Road Grand Prix.
You just get a feeling and run with it, and if it's a good enough feeling, you'll be there at the end.